Okay, so I found this article, and wow, it really got me thinking. The title is super bold, like kind of clickbaity almost.
Yeah.
It's called, "This is Why God Wants You to Keep Your Mouth Shut When He Blesses You." Like, whoa, okay, tell me more.
Right.
But it got me thinking about keeping certain things private, you
Yeah.
know, like not sharing everything.
Interesting.
So we're going to deep dive into that today, the whole idea of keeping blessings secret.
Sounds good.
The article uses some biblical examples and teachings to make its point, so we'll explore that too.
Okay.
So yeah, like the story of Joseph and his brothers. He told them about his big dreams, and well, it didn't go so well.
Right.
What do you think the lesson is there?
I think it shows how even people close to you, like family, can get envious, you know? They can't always just be happy for you.
Oh, for sure. I've been on both sides of that.
Yeah.
Like I've felt that sting of envy, and I've also seen it directed at me.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, sometimes it's better to just keep things to yourself. You
Yeah.
know? Protect yourself in your relationships.
That's a great point. It's not about hiding your light or anything, but maybe being more strategic with it, you know? Like choosing when and who to share with.
Yeah, be discerning.
Exactly. Like if you had a really precious heirloom, you wouldn't just show it to anyone, right?
Right.
You'd be careful with it. You'd treat it with reverence.
Totally. It's like there's certain things in life that are sacred, almost too personal to share with just anyone.
Right.
The article talks about how Jesus was like that too. Even he was careful about when and where he used his power.
Yeah, even with all his wisdom, he knew not everyone was ready for it. You know, some people just can't understand or appreciate certain things.
Right. And it's not their fault necessarily. It's just like you need the right soil for a seed to grow. Some ground is fertile, some is rocky.
Exactly.
It makes you think about what experiences in your own life are like that. The ones you only share with a select few.
Definitely. It makes you think about why you share things too. Like, are you looking for a genuine connection or something else?
Ooh, good point. Like, are you looking for attention or approval? Maybe even bragging a little.
Could be. It's something to think about for sure.
Yeah, deep stuff. And speaking of bragging, the article goes into some of Jesus's teachings about humility,
Right.
like the whole approval trap.
Right.
How do you see that playing out today? Like with social media and everything.
It's everywhere, right? Everyone's posting their highlight reels looking for likes and comments.
It's so true.
It's like we're all addicted to validation from other people instead of just being grateful for what we have.
Yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in that. Like, look at me. Look how great my life is.
So tempting. But the article argues that maybe keeping blessings secret is a way to break free from that.
Interesting. So instead of looking for applause, you're just acknowledging the blessing and feeling grateful.
Right. It's a shift in focus.
Okay, I get that. But wouldn't people think you're being weird or something if you purposely keep quiet about good things?
Maybe. Some people might. But it's not about being secretive to make yourself seem better than others.
No.
It's about humility. It's about recognizing that true happiness comes from within, not from what other people think.
Okay, so it's about inner peace, not outward appearances.
Exactly.
This is making me rethink how I share things or don't share things.
It's a journey for all of us, and the article has some good tips on how to navigate it.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are some of the key takeaways so far?
Well, for one, it says to really think before you share anything. Ask yourself, does this need to be shared? And if so, who should I share it with?
Okay, so be mindful of your audience.
Exactly. Because not everyone is going to be happy for you. And that's okay.
Right. Not everyone's in the same place emotionally.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting yourself from negative vibes. It's also about respecting the other person.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like if you share something that might make someone else feel bad or envious, that's not really a gift, is it?
Good point. I never thought of it that way.
So yeah, think about the other person's feelings too.
Okay, got it. Be sensitive.
Right. And that brings us to another important point. The power of silence.
Ooh, I like that. I'm all about the power of words. But sometimes saying nothing can be just as powerful.
Absolutely. The Bible is full of wisdom about controlling our speech, you know? Like in Proverbs and James, words can build people up or tear them down, and sharing blessings without thinking can lead to all sorts of problems.
Like conflict and envy.
Exactly. Like let's say you get a big promotion at work, but instead of waiting for the official announcement, you go blabbing about it to everyone.
Yeah, that could backfire big time.
Right. Or imagine gossiping about someone else's good fortune. It might seem harmless, but it can create drama.
Yeah, I see your point.
So yeah, sometimes silence is golden.
Okay, I'm starting to get this. Choosing when to speak is a sign of wisdom.
Exactly. And that leads us to another interesting idea, waiting on God's timing.
Ah, patience. Not my strong suit, but I'm willing to learn. What does the article say about that?
It talks about the prophet Habakkuk. He was a guy who was really troubled by all the injustice he saw. He was like, God, why do bad people prosper while good people suffer? And God basically told him, trust me, I'm working behind the scenes. Just wait for my timing.
So it's about trust in the bigger picture, even when things seem messed up.
Exactly. Waiting on God's timing isn't passive. It's about actively trusting that he's got a plan.
Okay. I can see how that connects to keeping blessings secret. It's like maybe there's a power in letting things unfold naturally.
Right. Without trying to force things or control the narrative.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And the article actually says that sharing a blessing too early might actually make it less impactful.
Interesting.
It's making me think about all the times I've rushed to share something exciting and then it just kind of fell flat. Like
Yeah.
maybe I should have savored it a bit longer.
It's like eating a piece of fruit before it's ripe, you know? You're not going to get the full flavor.
Right. You got to let it ripen.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to let it ripen. There's something sacred about that, you know? Like waiting and savoring the moment.
Right. It reminds me of what the article said about protecting the sacredness of our experiences.
Exactly.
Like how sharing deeply personal things with the wrong people can kind of cheapen them.
Yeah, it's like you're giving away a piece of your soul to people who might not even appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, don't cast your pearls before swine.
Right.
Not everyone deserves to hear our most intimate thoughts and feelings.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to understand or respect those things.
It's tough, though, because sometimes you just want to shout it from the rooftops, you know?
Hey, no.
Like when something amazing happens, you just want to tell everyone.
Yeah.
But then you remember what we're talking about, and you're like, okay, maybe not.
Right. It's about finding that balance between sharing and protecting what's sacred.
Right. How do you do that? Like, how do you know when to share and when to keep quiet?
It all comes back to discernment.
Right.
Asking yourself, why am I sharing this? What's my motivation?
Right.
Am I looking for a genuine connection or am I trying to impress people?
Ooh, that's a good one. Sometimes I think we share things just to show off, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's easy to fall into that trap, especially in our culture where everyone's trying to outdo each other.
Like, look at me. Look how blessed I am.
Exactly. But the article reminds us that true joy comes from within, not from external validation.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not about seeking attention, but about cultivating a sense of inner peace.
Right.
I'm starting to see how keeping blessings secret is less about being secretive and more about shifting our perspective.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
about aligning ourselves with different values like humility and gratitude.
Right, instead of, look at me,
Yeah,
it's more like, thank you, God.
exactly.
That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, so if we're trying to actually live this out, what are some practical things we can do?
Well, the article talks about being more intentional with our words.
Okay.
Like before you say anything, ask yourself, does this need to be said? Who should I say it to? And why am I saying it?
So think before you speak.
Pretty much.
Okay, got it. And what about patience? Any tips on how to wait on God's timing?
The article talks about practicing silent trust.
Silent trust.
Yeah, it's about surrendering your worries and desires to God, trusting that he's got everything under control.
Okay, so like let go and let God.
Exactly. But it's easier said than done right, especially in today's world where everything's so fast-paced.
For sure. We want everything instantly.
Right. But the more we can cultivate that inner stillness, that quiet confidence in God, the more peace we'll find.
Okay, I like that. So it's not about being passive, but about actively trusting in God's plan.
Exactly. And that peace can radiate outwards too. You know, it can affect the people around us.
Wow, that's a beautiful thought. I'm starting to see how keeping blessings secret is more than just a quirky spiritual practice.
Right.
It's like a whole way of life, a path to deeper meaning and connection.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on things.
I'm glad to hear that. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same way.
Me too. Before we wrap up, is there anything else from the article that you've been thinking about?
You know, there is something, it's not explicitly stated in the article, but it kind of popped into my head as I was reflecting on all this.
Oh, I love it when that happens. Tell me more.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe there's a connection between the blessings we keep secret and our spiritual growth. Like
Yeah.
maybe those hidden moments of gratitude and surrender actually help our faith grow stronger.
Like those blessings become more precious because they're just between us and God.
Exactly. No need for showing off or seeking approval from others.
Right. It's a private celebration.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that quiet gratitude makes us even more sensitive to God's presence in our lives.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's like a beautiful cycle, you know? The more we keep blessings secret, the more we grow spiritually, and the more blessings we receive.
I like that. It makes me think about how the most profound transformations often happen in silence.
Right away from the noise and distractions of the world.
This has been such an amazing conversation. I feel like I have a whole new way of looking at my own experiences.
Me too.
And I have a feeling this is going to change how I see those highlight reels that everyone posts online.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves.
Yeah.
You know? But maybe the real beauty is in those quiet triumphs.
The ones that don't need a public announcement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about an article with a really attention-grabbing title.
Yeah.
But we ended up discovering something so much deeper and more nuanced.
It's like that sometimes the most powerful truths are the ones that whisper, not shout.
I love that. So for our listeners who are ready to put all this into practice, what would you say is the most important takeaway?
That's a tough one. But if I had to choose, I'd say it's the art of discernment.
Discernment.
Yeah. Before you share anything, especially a blessing, ask yourself 3 questions.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, does this need to be shared? Second, who's the right audience for this? And third, why am I really sharing this?
I like that. 3 simple questions that can make a big difference.
Right. It's not about following rules, but about developing a deeper awareness of ourselves and our motivations.
That's so important. I feel like this whole conversation has given me a new lens through which to view my life.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same way.
This is definitely a topic that could spark some great conversations. So we want to hear from you. What resonated with you most from this deep dive?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced the power of keeping a blessing secret? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
And until next time, may you find joy and wisdom in the quiet spaces of your heart.
See you on the next deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those quiet victories, those things that matter to us, but maybe we don't need to blast them out to the whole world.
Right. It's about finding joy and contentment without needing everyone else to know about it.
It's funny how we started this whole deep dive talking about an article with this super flashy title.
Yeah.
You know, like it was practically begging for attention.
Yeah.
But the stuff we've been talking about, it's so much deeper than that.
It is. It's like sometimes the most important truths are the ones that kind of sneak up on you.
Totally. So for our listeners who are like, okay, this is great, but how do I actually do this? What's the most important thing they should take away from all this?
That's a good question. I think it all comes back to discernment.
Discernment.
Yeah, like really thinking before you share anything, especially something you consider a blessing.
Okay.
Ask yourself, does this need to be shared? Who should I share it with? And why am I even sharing this in the first place?
Okay. I like that. 3 simple questions that can really help us make better choices.
Exactly. It's not about following a bunch of rules. It's about being more mindful and aware.
That's so true. I feel like this whole conversation has given me a new perspective on things.
I'm glad to hear that. And I hope our listeners are feeling the same way.
This is definitely something we could talk about for hours.
Yeah.
But we got to wrap up for today.
Right?
We'd love to hear your thoughts, though. So if anything from this deep dive resonated with you, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Tell us about a time when you experienced the power of keeping a blessing secret. We're all ears.
And until next time, may you find peace and joy in those quiet moments of gratitude.
See you on the next deep dive.